So the next lab is a projectile motion lab. And if we open up the projectile motion lab, if you were to walk into my physics lab, this was the Vernier Reference Laboratory. So in the actual physical laboratory, you'll see that we've set up a trough with a ball, and then there are two photo gates here so that we're going to have the ball run through the photo gates, and then the ball is going to come off with a velocity in the x direction. And you're going to run this 5 times to get the average velocity in the x direction. Then the ball is going to fall off the edge of the table, okay? And you're going to want to predict that distance where the ball falls off the edge of the table. So the measurements that you're going to have are the velocity of the ball as it comes off the edge of the table, and then how high the table is from the ground. Those are the two big measurements that you got to have. For you guys, you don't have the timing gates, but you do have video analysis software. So what I'm suggesting that you do is find a ball, a marble, or something. And this is where you're going to take the modification for Zoom is, instead of using a photo gate, take up 2 pieces of tape, measure the distance between, to roll off the edge, measure the stack of books you're going to need to demonstrate the velocity. So use some tape to provide markers about 10 centimeters apart at the edge of your table, and you'll use that tape as a reference in your video. And then your video will allow you, the depth, the delta X, it's 10 centimeters. And your video you can use to measure the time on your video using your video analysis tool. That will allow you to get the change in distance over the change in time, and you're going to be able to calculate velocity. So you'll be able to follow the other lab just the same way, except instead of using a photo gate, you're going to use your video analysis. Speaking of video analysis, I had a group of students that were doing their ball drop to do the acceleration due to gravity. And when they did that, they recorded it in Apple slow motion. When you do that, your time stamps are off, because what you're trying to do is use real time. You're not wanting to use slow motion time, you're wanting to use real time. And you can make the change in your video analysis software to adjust for frames per second. But if you're finding that your acceleration due to gravity is off, make sure that you have recorded in real time, not in slow motion. All right, because that's the first time I've run across that issue in the lab. So you want to make sure that you've got that there. And as we do our projectile motion experiments today, I think you'll be able to see about the lab a little bit better. I do encourage you to review that other video so that you have that other video, because I went through a lot of this today in my lab this morning. And so you'll be able to come back to that. So any immediate questions about the projectile motion lab, which will be due next week,